What if you could teach a computer to dream? I'm not talking about sheep or anything like that, but about dreaming up brand new medicines. Well, that's pretty much the core idea behind a truly groundbreaking new paper we're going to dive into today, one that sits right at that amazing intersection of AI and biology. And I mean, really, from scratch. We're not talking about just finding stuff that already exists in nature. We're talking about designing completely new molecules, atom by atom, for one specific job. Could we actually build a molecule that has never existed before in the entire universe to solve a biological problem? That's the huge question at the heart of all this. So to really get what's going on here, we first need to talk about some of our body's absolute busiest messengers, and a really big problem with how we've been making drugs for a long, long time. To get there, let's meet the main character of our story, a huge family of proteins called G protein-coupled receptors, or, GPCRs for short. Just think of them as millions of tiny antennas covering the outside of our cells. They pick up signals, everything from light hitting your eye to the adrenaline you feel when you're scared. And they translate all that into action inside the cell. They are absolutely essential for pretty much everything we do. Now, because they're so important, hundreds of our most effective drugs, things like antihistamines, beta blockers, you name it, they're all designed to mess with these GPCRs. They basically target the main on-off switch. But there's a problem with that approach. There's a catch. The old way of doing things is kind of like using a master key. See, the main spot where drugs bind on these receptors, it's often really similar across lots of different kinds of cells. So a drug that's made to fit that spot might unlock the door you want, for sure, but it might also unlock a dozen other doors you never meant to open. And that's where you get side effects. So yeah, this master key method, it's got some serious limitations. It causes side effects because it's just not precise enough. And here's the real kicker. It's often totally useless for genetic diseases where the lock itself is broken. A master key can't fix a broken lock, right? And this leaves this giant gap in medicine for so many diseases. Okay, so if going through the front door is too risky, what's plan B? Well, scientists decided to look for a side door. And to find it, they actually took a page right out of nature's own playbook. Turns out, our bodies are way ahead of us. They're already experts at this whole precision targeting thing. See, evolution has created all these specialized proteins that don't even use the main master key slot. Nope. Instead, they grab onto the sides of the receptor to just fine-tune what it does. It's called allosteric modulation, and it's kind of like having a secret control knob on the side of the machine. And this is where the AI first steps onto the stage. The scientists basically used an advanced AI to scan the entire surface of a dopamine receptor, looking for these potential side doors. And what it found was a whole new landscape of docking sites that nobody had ever paid attention to before. You can see them as these colorful clouds here. It essentially created a brand new treasure map for future drugs. Okay, so you found these new side doors. Awesome. That's a huge step. But now what? How in the world do you build a key completely from thin air that's a perfect fit for a door that no one has ever even tried to open before? This is where the story gets really, really futuristic. The researchers came up with a way to teach an AI to essentially dream up, or as they call it, hallucinate, the perfect custom key for these new doors. The process has a name: de novo protein design. And the key phrase here, the one you've got to remember, is from scratch. This is not about tweaking a molecule that already exists. This is about an AI creating a blueprint for a protein that has never, ever existed before, anywhere. So here's a rough idea of how it works. First, the AI just brainstorms thousands of rough ideas for a protein shape. Then comes that crazy hallucination part, where a different AI model takes those rough drafts and refines them over and over, folding them, twisting them, trying to make them fit that side door better and better. And finally, the system grades its own homework and only keeps the designs that it's most confident about. But wait, how did they control this whole creative process? Well, it's actually a lot like how you would talk to a language AI like ChatGPT. Just like you give it a specific prompt, the scientists gave this AI structural prompts. They basically said, hey, we need a protein that binds right here, and it needs to have a shape that's kind of like this. That guidance was totally crucial to make sure it was designing the right key for the right door. All right, so after all this incredible, futuristic design work, what did the AI actually make? Well, it didn't just make one key. It made a whole toolkit. The researchers ended up with 4 totally different proteins, which they call gems. And get this, each one targets a different side door on the exact same dopamine receptor. One of them is like an anchor. It just binds on and does nothing. Another is a dimmer switch, turning one signal down but leaving another one on. Then you've got a blocker that just shuts things down. And finally, my favorite, a booster that amps things up. 4 custom tools for one single machine. And you can see that incredible precision right here. I mean, just look at this. These are 2 of those custom-designed proteins. Notice how the one in yellow binds to a completely different spot than the one in pink, even though they're both going after the same receptor in gray. This is the power of the custom key approach. We're talking about molecular tools with a level of specificity we've just never had before. Now, this is all super impressive, right? But the real breakthrough, the part that could actually change medicine forever, is what these custom keys can do for locks that are already broken. So the team decided to go for the ultimate test. They took dopamine receptors that were broken because of genetic mutations, the kind that can cause really debilitating diseases, the kind that normal drugs just can't fix. And the result? It was just astounding. I'm going to quote directly from the paper here, that booster protein, the one called a GOPAM, was able to restore the activity of the broken receptors. By grabbing onto its little side door, it basically forced the broken machine back into its correct working shape from the outside. Let's be really clear about what this means. The AI didn't just design a simple on-off switch. It designed a molecular brace, a tool that could physically reach in and repair a genetically broken protein. This has been one of the holy grails of medicine for decades. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This isn't just a better drug. This is an entirely new way to think about medicine, a new way to think about treating diseases that actually start in our own DNA. So the implications here are they're huge. This opens the door to creating drugs for conditions that right now we consider completely untreatable. It is the ultimate form of precision medicine, where a treatment can be designed to fix your specific cellular problem. It's just a stunning demonstration that AI is about to completely revolutionize how we find and create new medicines. This whole research project focused on just one receptor. But the method, the process itself, that's a platform. It's a recipe for creating custom molecular tools for basically any protein target in the human body. And it leaves us with this incredible, mind-boggling question. Now that we have the power to design bespoke biology on demand, what impossible problems are we going to solve next?